I wanted to spend a little bit of time, just about 10 minutes, talking about the theme of the conference. And since you're all really smart people, you probably have figured out the theme since it's on your name badges, your lanyards, your T-shirts. The theme of the conference for S4 2013 is now. We did, and you're going to hear from them in just a second, Digital Bond led Project Basecamp at last year's S4. And the purpose of Project Basecamp was to take very popular PLCs from very large vendors and demonstrate how they were insecure by design. Not only just find these flaws, but then develop Metasploit modules and scripts and other tools so that any consultant, vendor, owner-operator, government agency, or anyone else could easily demonstrate this. And I don't think it was a big surprise, but as Reed said when he gave the presentation, he said it was a bloodbath. And these things fell over fast and hard. And you can actually see that presentation on the Vimeo channel from last year if you want to watch it. But the reaction to Project Basecamp was varied. Walt Boys of Control magazine said that there was an irate and frustrated Dale Peterson of Digital Bond. Probably accurate. Trying to embarrass control system vendors. That wasn't really the purpose, but you can read all about Basecamp. But what I really want you to focus on are the last 8 words there. Fixing vulnerabilities that have been known for years. Just think about that. This is one of the detractors of Project Basecamp, and there were many of them. And one of the big things that people were saying is, this is nothing new. We knew this. It's been this way forever. And that reaction, which wasn't a total surprise, really led us to this theme. It's like, well, if it's been that way forever, now is the time to change it. And I have a lot of political things I could say, but this is a technical conference about protocols not having integrity, vendors, governments, consultants, and such, and I'm going to cover that in SANS. But I thought for this group, I thought this was maybe a more apt quote. If not us, who? If not now, when? I'm sure some of you have heard that. It was first used, they say, I wasn't there, by Rabbi Hillel over 2,000 years ago. But the politicians have picked this up now because it is actually a very powerful quote when you think about it. So we have the people in this room who, and in the other room, who know a lot about ICS security. It's what we do for a living, most of us. We know the problems. We understand what the solution should be. So I'm sure there's some people missing here from S4. But as a whole, let's say S4 is the group that understands the problem and the solution from a technical standpoint better than anyone else. So if we say that, I wanted to think, well, what could this group do to actually make the change now? And this is what got me coining the term SCADA Apologist. I think the one thing this group could do, and the other room, is stop being SCADA apologists and call anyone when they become a SCADA apologist. Now, what is a SCADA apologist? And I must admit, I have done this before, and you have to stop yourself from doing it. A SCADA apologist is someone who understands the problem very well, and they say, oh, these control systems, they're insecure by design, they're fragile. If you send them the wrong packet, they crash. They have all sorts of back doors. They're really terrible. Oh, and by the way, they run the most critical infrastructure around the world. So they lay out this very, very bad problem in good terms, and they're the experts on this. And then what they should say is, and we need to fix this now. We need to upgrade these systems. We need to replace these systems. We can't wait. But what the SCADA apologist does, he follows that explanation of the huge technical and ramifications of the problems with a but. He says, we have all this problem, and it's really terrible, but it's going to take decades to fix. Or when I was at Black Hat when Dylan Beresford presented, Jonathan Pollet was there. And Jonathan, brilliant guy, teaches a great course, really knows his stuff. But he was a SCADA apologist that day. He stood up, and all the press was listening to his reaction to Dylan showing how the Siemens device was so easily broken into, how insecure and terrible it was. And he explained all that, Jonathan did, after the presentation, and then he said, but Siemens isn't the only one with this problem, but this problem won't be fixed for 10 or 15 years. And then went on to give all these excuses why the problem won't be fixed. One of the things that you don't realize is maybe how much power you actually have, individually and as a group here. Decision makers, whether they be in government or business, look to the technical community for a technical assessment as to what the problem is and how it can be fixed. And I was actually talking with Ralph Langner about this this weekend, and I won't mention names, but we were talking about policymakers that were telling us the problem can't be fixed. We were saying, no, technically it's not that hard to fix. You can do this, this, and this. And they say, no, we've heard this cannot be fixed. So the SCADA apologists, which we are all probably guilty at times of being, have actually convinced the people that would make the decision to spend the resources to fix the problem that it can't be fixed. So we've essentially boxed ourselves in. I also want you just to think a little bit about how much longer we're going to do this. I've been involved in this since 2000, so this is my 13th year now, doing control system security. And I've been hearing it won't be fixed for 10 or 15 years, every one of those years. So it just keeps pushing back and back and back and back. At what point are we going to actually stand up and say it needs to be fixed now? Now, I know it's not going to be fixed in a month, but a lot of you have done these projects. PLC replacement projects are 1 to 3 year projects. Replacing a SCADA system is a 1 to 3 year project. So you're not going to go out there and put in a secure PLC today, but you can start budgeting for it. You can start creating a project to do it. You can start telling your vendors you're going to upgrade these things or buy a new one. And now's the time we need to do that. So if we look at this, I'd say the guys on the left, the guys wearing these things, maybe we're the SCADA apologists. We have one other problem, I think, that we have to make sure we don't shoot ourselves in the foot, and that's a mentality where I can break into anything. Because I've also heard this presented to people that make decisions, and you have someone said, well, if you do this, I'll just hack in that way. If you do this, I'll hack in that way. And that's the wrong message to send. Because if I'm looking at my system that I'm going to protect, and you tell me no matter what I do to secure it, you'll hack in, it's like, well, why spend any money? So we have to stop that as well. So I was trying to find actually a good picture of a SCADA apologist. And I didn't want to put any one person. That would just be too mean. There were a couple that came to mind, but I didn't want to put any one person. So I will tell you that if whoever can get me a drawing that I use at SANS for the SCADA apologist will get free entry into S4 2014. Because I really want to get just the right picture of a SCADA apologist. But what I'd like you to do these next 2 days is you're going to hear a lot of, I'd say it's probably 2/3 offensive. You're going to hear a lot of problems with these systems. And then there's about 1/3 of the presentations with some innovative defensive types of new techniques. But what I want you to do as you go through this is just come to the mindset that we're going to fix this. You shouldn't walk away from here saying, oh, it's just terrible and it's always going to get worse. We have to leave here going out and spreading the message that, yes, it is terrible, and explain to everyone how terrible it is and demonstrate it to them. But then also, you got to get that second message. It has to be an and we're going to fix it, not but it's going to be this way for the next 10 or 15 years. So that's an overview of kind of why we picked the now theme for S4 2013, and I really hope that you'll participate this and fight the urge to be a SCADA apologist. And with that, we're going to shift over to our first presentation.